I want to start by thanking Senator Reid and thanking Senator Brown for their leadership. You're why we have a Consumer Financial Protection Bureau, and I just want to thank you for all you've done. It's a great agency, and it's off to a great start. You know, I first worked on the idea for the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau for some pretty straightforward reasons. The laws were a mess. Millions of people got cheated. Some big financial institutions had built their profit models around tricking and trapping their customers, and we had a runaway mortgage industry that nearly broke our economy. In 2010, under the leadership of these men and others, Congress created the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau, and its goals were very straightforward. It was to be a watchdog on behalf of consumers and to fix the structural problems that nearly led to the collapse of this economy. Now, I remember what that was like. There were many discussions, hearings, conferences, votes, floor votes, committee markups, a very active process in negotiating all the parts of Dodd-Frank, but particularly the part over the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau. Congress was very active. And in building and ultimately striking a deal, that Congress developed a consumer bureau that was full of safeguards, had adequate safeguards and meaningful oversight. The first one, it's been mentioned by both senators, is that this is the only agency anywhere in government that its rules can be overruled by a group of other agencies. This is the agency that has a statutory cap on its funding, unlike the other banking regulators. This agency makes regular reports to Congress, testifies, is subject to audits. It has all the normal constraints of an agency, the Administrative Procedure Act, judicial review, and so on. And always remember, if Congress doesn't like something that the consumer agency does, Congress can always overrule it itself. Now, since Dodd-Frank passed and the consumer agency was turned into law when the president signed the bill in the summer of 2010, there have been two major developments. The first one is a consumer agency, and Richard Cordray have done a great job. You know, just in that short time period that the agency has been up and running, credit card companies have been forced to disgorge nearly $500 million that they cheated consumers out of. New mortgage rules have been issued, mortgage rules that will protect consumers and help prevent a bubble, the kind that nearly collapsed this economy. They got a hotline that's up and working, and I got to tell you, check out that hotline. I met people when I was out walking across Massachusetts who talked about having used the hotline. Not all the pieces are operational yet, but it's up and going. People who used that hotline and found it very effective. Someone on the consumer side to try to help level the playing field. Consumer groups have praised the agency and have praised Rich, and the industry has praised the agency and has praised Rich. So that's the first thing. We've had it up, we've seen it in operation, and it works. The second is our marketplace needs certainty. You all may remember having seen the D.C. Circuit Court of Appeals opinion that came down a couple of weeks ago. It's created some uncertainty about its implications for the consumer agency, but I want to make a clear point here. The banks need to know what rules to follow. Whatever your view is on the D.C. Circuit opinion, and we can talk more about that if anybody wants to, here's the part that is clear. The Dodd-Frank bill was built with a fallback position in it, so that if the consumer agency was not able to come up with mortgage rules by a date certain, then rules that were enumerated in the statute would just automatically go into effect. Remember, in 2010, this was a Congress that was very concerned about the mortgage crisis that we were in the middle of. So there's a set of default rules. Now, the consumer agency has come up with a set of rules, and they're good rules. They're rules that work for consumers. They're rules that work for the big financial institutions. They're rules that work for the community banks and the credit unions. If there is a doubt about whether or not the consumer agency can issue those rules, the banks are in a position of great uncertainty. And let's just keep in mind, they needed to have complied with the fallback rules as of January 21st, 2013. So the way I see this is that, look, I'm new to the Senate and I confess I don't get this. We shouldn't have a system where more political stalemates just create more bad government. You know, this isn't about more government or less government. This is about bad government. Because what we have here is uncertainty, a lack of clarity about what the banks should do, and whether or not consumers can rely on this agency to be able to get the rules out that it needs to get out to keep this market working. So I think it's time for the United States Senate to give Rich Cordray an up or a down vote. If there are senators who want to vote no, then let them vote no and explain that to the American people. But he deserves a vote. The American people deserve a vote. Thank you. There's a reason that there is no banking regulator that goes through the political appropriations process. And that's been true not just in the last few years. It's been true since the 1860s when we first developed the Office of the Comptroller of the Currency, our principal bank regulator. They've been insulated from the political process, both to assure that they are independent and that each judgment they make is independent of any part of the political process, and to give the American people some confidence that they are independent. I think both of those are important, the actual independence and the appearance of independence. If we lose that for the consumer agency, that's a powerful blow. This is an agency that's there to be a watchdog on behalf of the American people, and that's what it needs to be. I can't speak for anyone else, but I think it is fundamentally wrong to hold up a vote on Rich Cordray. The president has nominated him. He appointed him during a recess. He has now renominated him. Rich has proven what he can do. This agency has proven what it can do. The agency has been signed into law. We've got every piece we need. And the notion that a minority can hold up the laws of the United States by using the filibuster on an appointment is fundamentally wrong.